Hey everybody, hello, hello. Oh, Manny's got no audio.
Oh, no audio, Manny.
He's kicking. All right.
He's going. All right. Hey, this
Let
is
me
deja vu all over again.
we're gonna let him back in. All right, try again, Manny.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I forgot to refresh right as soon as that timer was done.
We waited for you to do the opening.
Welcome to Content Creators Connect. Here we are all about encouraging the 3 C's: connecting with others via video, content development that builds your personal brand, and creators sharing their experiences despite their distance.
For those of you joining us for the first time, let's get to know our C3 team. This guy right on over here, his name is Kevin. He is known as ClasicMac in his circles, and he is a very strong advocate in finding low-cost live streaming options to help you. And moving on, this girl right here in the center, me, Dori Spencer. I love using my superpowers to install confidence in those around me to help them become the techsperts they were meant to be in their own adventure. And now, our presenter for this evening, this guy right on over here. This is Manny, aka Coach Manny, coaching us up in the world of social media marketing as well as pursuing his passion for streaming true crime. So, this evening, we have the pleasure of hearing Manny speak on his PC production software called vMix. Manny, I would love to ask you, can you share why you've chosen vMix as your production software and the value that you think it brings to your streams?
Absolutely. Great question, by the way. Honestly, as a social media person, I truly believe in spicing up your videos. If it's one thing I know is we should be edutaining our audience, creating that show that attracts, creating that show that is appealing, that shows that you actually put time and thought and care into educating your audience. vMix being something I only learned about 2 years ago when I was looking for a way to bring more power to my game, and I started with OBS. And I'm like, oh, OBS, great. It's a great free software, free way to learn how to do this. I really barely got my feet wet. I don't even remember how to do anything, to be honest with you. But right away, I was introduced to vMix. And vMix was like, oh, like you get a 60-day free trial where you get to try everything for 60 days. I thought that was phenomenal. And here I am trying to learn how to have more power behind my live streaming. And within those 60 days, it didn't take me that long to actually purchase a license. I think actually I probably started on the beginner license. I think it's like $60 or something. Back then they didn't have monthly membership. I quickly, shortly after that, I upgraded. And here is why. I said to myself, I'm gonna have to go all in because this thing makes sense. Now, last week, Dori taught on Ecamm. Ecamm is another revolutionary software, but for Mac users only. This vMix is for PC users only. That's why we chose these steps to help educate you, whether you're a Mac user. We're not going to be biased. We're going to also cater to the PC user. With vMix, this was a no-brainer because not only did it help me spice up my live streaming, to be completely honest with you, it helped create another stream of income because I was able to add it as a more value to my social media agency. And so the learning, the easiness, the number one, diving in and taking time to mess up because audio is a big learning curve. to me, I was like, this is definitely something I can go all in with. I've never looked back. I literally have never looked back, and they've only gotten better. Dori, what do you think about that? I
Well,
went to the wrong person, sorry.
no, you're fine. You're fine. Hey, we roll with the punches here, right? So I'm not gonna lie. I, as I said last week, I am a Mac girl through and through. But I will say that just from a nerdy aspect of things, I thrive on learning new tools. So I teach in a PC based school. And now, this is actually brand new. I am going to be heading up an area in our high school called the Inspiration Lab, where we have been given grants to do a lot of really cool tech things. There's robots, video editing, photo editing, green screening. So I'm really excited about that. And since we're a PC based school, I'm hopeful to learn a little bit about vMix myself so that maybe we can incorporate vMix as part of our streaming toolkit for the Inspiration Lab at school. So I'm really excited about that. Now, Kevin, I know, fellow PC user right on over there. What are your thoughts on the vMix revolution?
I absolutely fell in love with it the first time I started playing with it because it made logical sense to me on how to add and put your scenes together and do your overlays. But then digging into other streaming software, I found vMix is the most stable one that was out there at the time. Like Manny was saying, there's always been audio issues with related to OBS, albeit they've been getting a lot better over the years. But initially, OBS still had those audio issues. And then when I started streaming, I just jumped into vMix, and I've never had an audio issue at all.
That's amazing.
Just basically a plug and play. It's like it detects your microphone, it detects your audio sources and your inputs. It was just so easy to get started and fall in love more with streaming using vMix. And I'll be discussing something next week, which I'm excited about. But there's some certain features of vMix that I absolutely still love. And I'm hoping that Manny goes into some detail about some of those things. So I won't ruin the story, or I won't steal your thunder right now, but I will bring it up later if you don't remember to talk about it today. So why don't we just head on over to the content so that Manny can start sharing his golden nuggets of wisdom.
Excellent. Before we do that, if this is the type of content that you would like to see more of, please consider hitting that subscribe button and that pesky little notification bell. And that way you get notified every single time we go live. So now, with that being said, we are going to drum roll ourselves right on into Manny's content.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate that. Before I dive into using vMix into your whole live streaming, I want to preface this. I'm not a professional streamer. Even though I might look like it, I'm as beginner as the next person who is figuring things out. And so what you're going to learn on this, this is not a course. I'm not going to be diving into left, right, every single which way because we'll be here all night. What I do want, I want you to be inspired and motivated to try this for yourself. And as I dive into it, I want to share with you the simple things to this. I'm going to do my best not to throw a bunch at you because there's a lot to vMix. And again, I want to keep this simple for you because I had to learn the simple way in diving into this. But here's my experience with this. At first, I learned how to create graphics. I learned how to create a show. I kind of was diving into different things to learn more of it. It was new to me. Same thing for you. You're going to want to learn, dig in, and hey, you're going to find your creativity. And there's going to be some ways that we can do that, and I want to dive into that as well. But I want to show you what that looks like. So right here, this is vMix. This is literally my vMix interface. It's a software. So I'm clicking on the little app on my Windows to open this up. I'm basically starting with a fresh one. Now, I was going to show something. I don't want to chance something at this very moment. Right now, I'm starting from scratch. I just have a few things open. Let me run through that with you. Once you create this, you need a camera. Now, if you're not going to use a camera, or you're not going to show your image, then maybe that's not as important. But again, we are live streaming, and depending on what your goal is, you might want a camera. So you can see right here how I have my camera. Now, you notice when I clicked on it, it came to my left side. That is my preview side. If I go live right now, the only thing my audience will see is the right side. That's my actual capture. That's my video. So if I was live on Facebook, YouTube, or whatever, they'll only see the right side, not the preview side. Okay, so I brought in my camera, and as you notice, it is black in the back. Technically, it is actually a green screen. I'm sure no one's fooled by that, right? I get it. But with that, look how simple that is, right? I'm literally, with the touch of a button, making this a little more of a different background. So with that, this is the actual image that I brought in. How do I bring in these things? Okay. There is where you see add input to the bottom left. I need to figure out how I can pan that, but I'm not going to try to do that right now. But as you can see, the very bottom left, I'm just clicking on add input. These are all my inputs that I can add to that. Okay, I'm going to do a quick little summation on this video. If I want to add a video, maybe I have a little clip of something. As you can see on this, I have a lot of videos already uploaded. I could go to any of these videos if it's relevant to what I'm doing. So with some of my clients, maybe they're sending me a short video clip that I'm going to include in our next live presentation. I am their production studio thanks to this. So you can see I can add a DVD type folder, a list of different, this is a compilation if I wanted to add a bunch of different videos or a bunch of different, a list of audio, anything along those lines. How did I add my camera? This is where I add my camera. These are my options. Okay, really the only one that's a camera is my Cam Link 4. When I added this, I'm not going to do it right now because it's already open. I don't want the audio to come in through my camera. So I'm taking the audio off because I only want my mic to be my camera. I don't want two different things. So I can easily add my camera without the mic so that I don't have all of that interference. Okay, so this all important feature right here. You have different ones. If you remember ClasicMac Kevin, I want to say 2 weeks ago when he was teaching how to bring in all these different cameras, he was doing that with the NDI, right? So he had all these cameras and he had them all connected through the NDI. Now, Kevin, please correct me if I'm out of place on that I know some of them you might have had a USB connection as part of it, and you have your image. What's that? The little capture card. A capture card is important if you have a DSLR camera, which is what I have. But look at this local desktop. You can see I have 3 monitors to choose from. So I can display any of these. I have one with the team on one. I have another one with Restream open and with my notes as well. As you can see, I have Google Chrome open as well. It's letting you see if you want to bring this in as a display, you can bring it in if it's a display, right? But I can capture any of those and bring it into my production. So what really comes handy here is my 3 different displays. I have 3 monitors. Technically, one may be a TV. I'm not too sure. I believe so. But see, it works perfectly with that. So this is a very important feature to help you take it even wider. And the Stream SRT, I'm not gonna, again, I don't even know what that is, so I'm not going to play like I do. I'm not going to worry about it. If you're into sports, look at this great feature, instant replay. So if you're filming sports or you're recording sports or you're going live in soccer or whatever, and you want to do a replay, where vMix excels is things like that. Churches use vMix all the time. It's one of the leading softwares besides OBS probably for churches. And one of the things is being able to do all these different features on it. Then you have your image sequence, which is also your stinger, which is part of your transition and going through different images, just like it sounds. So I'm not going to bore you with everything under the sun because, again, some of this is a little more technical above my head. Remember, I want to keep this simple for you so you can feel like, wow, I don't have to be a professional to get started. So remember how I shared how I brought up that image? This is where you bring in your image. Now, a lot of times in my true crime show, I use Canva for pretty much everything, graphics, my coming together for my story. And when I download it, I'm downloading 20, 30 images at one time. That becomes a zip file. I export it into a folder. These are all my folders. So if I click on any of these, I literally can go through each one and give my presentation, give my countdown, give whatever it is, another powerful feature for your production. And a lot of this, as you're going, you can see if you want to do a PowerPoint presentation, upload your PowerPoint. So the color on this, I don't use it, so I'm not going to go into it, right? The audio, these are all the things that I have attached or uploaded in any of my streams. And with that, I can bring in music right now. I can bring in a MP3 file right now with any of these. So if I want to play some music into my production, here it is. Audio input, this is how you bring in your microphone. Something that I want to take a little bit of time and explain are virtual cables. Virtual cables, let me bring this up. Virtual cables are great if you're like having guests on Zoom. You need to bring their audio from Zoom into your production. Virtual cables are key in that aspect so that you have the right audio going through for your audience and the audio from the Zoom to your live stream. That's where virtual cables come in. Another purpose that virtual cables serve is maybe you are wanting to share a YouTube video, okay? You can't just share the audio automatically. The virtual cables are what's going to take it from YouTube into your live stream. Now, again, I'm just keeping this as simple as possible, but I do want to share with you where you can get those cables from. And let me share my screen with you so that we can do this together. So I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm going to bring in a desktop capture, and it's one of these displays. Let's see if I picked the right one. I didn't pick the right one. Hi, guys. So sometimes you can pick the wrong one, and watch me probably still pick the wrong one there. Let's see. Maybe it's that one. Yeah, there we go. So now I am on the internet, right? I'm sharing with you. I can easily bring myself in. Let me show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring myself in to that production. So as you can see, it's right on the left. This is the preview. I'm going to double click on desktop capture so that I can add layers. Right here is where you can add layers on top. I'm going to bring my camera in. I'm going to adjust it. See how simple this stuff is? I'm going to adjust it right there, getting rid of my water bottle, make me smaller. I can grab my picture and move it over here. Okay, now I'm in my production. All I did was I went to the layer and put one on there. And we'll get a little deeper there as well. But now we're going to go and we're going to bring in how to do more audio, right? I believe that's where I was going. See how easy it is? You can get going elsewhere. So I'm going to make sure that I'm bringing in some audio, right? So I can go to YouTube. Oh, that's what I wanted to share with you. Can't remember the website, but VB// or VB-audio.com. You can download those virtual cables right there. And I don't even believe there's a fee. I think normally they say, hey, will you make a donation? And that's really it. But the virtual cables are going to help you bring in audio from your YouTube and bring in audio from other stuff. Now, that is a little different than if I'm bringing in audio through here. So with this audio, I'm also bringing in my mic, right? I'm also bringing in virtual cables. I think now if you download it, I don't even know that it says cable A or cable B anymore. I got to look into that. But that's how you bring in your audio. But these virtual cables are not the same as your microphone. So those are key things in understanding the difference there when you're wanting to bring in the audio. It's a little different than if you're bringing in your own video. If you bring in a video and it has audio, you don't have to worry about virtual cables. If that video already has audio attached to it, then play your video and your audio is attached to it. So with that also being said, maybe I want to add some titles to my content, right? Another powerful feature that they have. If you see where it says title here, this is where I can have a lower thirds. I have a bunch of different options for titles right through here. Okay. If I want a ticker at the bottom, I can add a ticker. Right? And then I can easily play that ticker through my stream, even as I'm presenting to you. And so just by pressing that again, I can get rid of my ticker. But that's another powerful feature. You also, again, as I mentioned, if you're in the sports, you already have a scoreboard there that you can use. Same thing with social. So I can add this through there. Now, let's see if I bring this up. I'm not going to even do that right now because that'll take time. So I will show you this as well. Part of vMix Social right here. vMix Social with vMix helps you display comments. So to help better engagement, one of the things that you can do is display comments. That's where, as long as you have something, I don't know if I can show that. Yeah, I could probably show that right there. It will show their face, their username on Facebook or YouTube or wherever that comment is coming in from. And it literally will show that. And with vMix Social, not up. With vMix Social, you got Twitter. You can bring in the comments. You got Facebook. You got Twitch. You got YouTube. You got IRC. I'm sure one of my cohorts over there will be familiar in real, what I don't even know what that is. You see, I'm just trying to keep this simple, right? You don't have to know all those things to start doing this. Now, I'm going to close that out because I don't really need that at this moment. I hope I don't lose you guys, but I'm going to go to a little deeper, okay? So if I lose you guys, give me 1 second. I think that maybe, let's see if you guys can, okay. I'm opening up my shows. These are the shows that I have tied to vMix. This is one of my clients, our team here. If I want to do some happy holiday themes, and here's my true crime one, and clients mixed in there. I'm going to open up one of my clients. Hopefully, guys, I don't lose you, but if I do, I'll be right back. Let's open that. Yep.
Is he there?
I
Is he
think
there?
so.
Is he
1
there?
second.
Okay.
Can you
yep.
hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. So sorry about that. I was changing over. And back to what I was sharing. So now I have a lot more inputs. I went to another input that already have a bunch of them open so that you can see a little more. And through here, if I want to add a subscribe, right? If I want to ask them to subscribe, I can easily do that and it'll show. Now, I still have to adjust it as I showed you how I was doing earlier with my face in the corner. Here, if I wanted to share my intro, and you can see here, hold on 1 second. When I'm talking, the green that is going up, that's my audio. That is my audio that is coming through. If I was live, they would hear me directly right now. And with that, you can see how I'm adding so many different parts of it. So I should have picked a better one than this one, but I don't want to chance it. Let's see if I can just open something up. Let's go over here. Oh, the other thing I want to share with you, look at let's see if I can move this here. Okay, can you see that a little bit better? There we go. So right down the middle here, these are my transitions. I can easily cut if I want to go there really fast. I can zoom. That was a zoom on that. I can merge into it. I can wipe across it. One of my favorites, when I'm coming back to my episode, I'll cube zoom it. Now look at this. When I click on the right, it has all, I don't even have to add all these things to it. It's already there for me. Again, vMix offers a 60-day trial to see if it's a fit for you, to see if your computer can handle this power. I had to upgrade my computer. I literally had to upgrade my computer. My laptop at the time wasn't worthy. Then I uploaded it. Then I outgrew it fast because I was uploading a lot of stuff. And as you can see with different client stuff. And so I'm going to hopefully not lose you again. I'm going to have to turn off the external. So while I'm on that subject, if you notice, trying to stay in the screen so you guys, the audience, can see me as well on my thing. Let's see. So at the very bottom, can you guys transition me so I could just have that screen there so I can show something? Would that be possible? Trying to get the bottom. Hold on one second. Maybe I can do it right here. Okay, there we go. So you can, not having luck getting this low enough.
What are you trying to do, Manny?
The bottom, there we go.
Okay.
So the external, as you can see, I have that lit up on the bottom of my screen. I wanted to spend a little time on what this is before closing this out. So the external is what I need for them to have my video on their production. Right now, this production that you're watching is on an eCam production. Dori's running the show from her fingertips, right? For me to have my camera on there, that's this external button. If I stop it, I will freeze right on the spot until I click it again. You can see the record button to the left of that. I can record whatever is on the right screen. Okay, and you can also see the stream where I can go live to 3 different locations. With that also, you can either add a custom RTMP, which I do a lot when I'm scheduling out my lives for my clients. I can go live to any of these platforms, up to 3 of them. Let me preface this by saying you definitely need some power if you're going to go to all 3 of those. Even as I thought I was getting enough power, it didn't seem like I still had enough power. Restream solved that problem for me in a heartbeat. But if you have enough power, like Kevin and Dori, again, they've been in this live streaming field a little longer than me. So I'm happy to say you guys are my masters, right? I'm still learning from them. And that's why I'm trying to keep this so simple for you guys, so that you can know, like, okay, if he could do it, then I can do it. Because that's how it was. So one more thing before we close this out, I might lose you again, but I hope not. Let me try something here. So as you can see, I'm turning off the external, so I might freeze up for a second, but you may still be able to hear me. Can you still hear me, guys?
Yeah, can still hear you.
Yep, can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I am going right here. I should be back in 1 second. Okay, so I'm changing literally live, and now you see me on another one of my clients. Now, I don't normally am in there, but what I wanted to show you is how we create a lot of this. So for example, where am I at? I'm going to show you my screen here so you can see all the productions that we have in this. And then we're going to do a layer, and then we're going to close it out. So this is one of my clients. I have a lot of inputs for them. As you can see, if they're both on a screen, they're going to be completely on with this border. Going back over there. And if with all of that, you can see I have their logos uploaded on this. I have their whole production. Now we're going to build a scene real quick, and then we're going to call it a day. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a blank screen. Right at the add input button, there's this little arrow to the right, okay? Clicking on that arrow is different than clicking on the add input. Remember, the add input brings up all this. We're going to click on this little arrow and we're going to create a blank screen. Okay, so now you're looking at a blank screen. We're going to build this little by little as I'm sharing with you. Okay, so we have our blank screen. If I was to show that blank screen, as you saw, there was nothing there. We're going to build it up. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add me, right? I'm going to add myself.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah. You need to have some visual, but it depends on where you're going to go, right? If I'm bringing in a scene, I might start with that first and then build from there. So great example here. So I can easily add, now I'm going to add me to one of them. Okay. And again, I'm going to edit. I'm going to move myself around. There I go. I'm going to make it smaller so I can fit in one of those boxes. Make believe I'm, interviewing someone, which I'm going to be here shortly. All right. I'm going to get rid of that. And let's see here. I'm going to bring in
And I like
another
how
scene.
you're sort of showing the different layers as well, making sure that you're behind that first overlay, so you're hiding in behind.
And Kevin brings up a great point. That's why I like to start with my theme being number 5 in the middle, because anything under that is under that theme. Anything over it is over that. So let's go over it. So for example, I'm going to bring in a logo, right? I'm just giving you examples. Nothing's perfect. I'm sure it probably going to blend in too well with that pink, right? So now I'm over it. See how I'm over everything on that? Great. Now I want to bring in another desktop and I want it to be underneath it. Okay, so there we go. Maybe I'm going to be talking about teaching on vMix or whatever, right? I'm letting it fit right in there. Excellent. And normally I might have another camera on there, but let's just bring in Manny again. Make believe that's the other camera, right? Okay, so Manny's in there again. And we're going to get rid of some of that. So it's not excellent. So we could be presenting, talking about interest rates and all that good stuff. And maybe I'm going through the screen talking about things. I can have, let's show you again on that. I can bring in a ticker, right? So I'm going to bring in a ticker. There we go. Content Creators Connect is on fire, right? So, and then I want to bring this in. Now, real quick, you notice there are 4 little buttons here. If I press on one, it'll bring it up temporarily. And there's a way to control that, but we're not going to go super deep in that. This is the default. I like the default stuff. I could get rid of that. I could bring it in at number 2. And that would be, here's a better example of something that would actually pop up more. So if we had this and I wanted just to bring in hey Manny, how you doing, buddy? See how I just brought myself in there? That's that number 2 that I'm bringing in. If I'm a newscast or I'm talking to someone, and then what if I'm going to merge with, I can easily merge and then it blends in, except I messed that up, but you get it. You get the drift. So I can easily bring in now I didn't finish that. If I was to do number
3.
If I was to do number 3, this is what that looks like. Off to the right. I can show that even here. I can bring in the whole, whichever input I already have, which is generally going to be an image or maybe a Zoom video, and they're on the Zoom, they're talking as well. That would be a way to, if I want it on the right side of my screen. Number 4 keeps it up the whole time until you press it. So I could go to any scene right now and it stays on the whole time. And so that's an easy, this, what you're looking at right here, I'm gonna stop that by just pressing number 4. And again, this is another thing, another scene that you're looking at. So I can go to different scenes if I wanted it to merge in. See how I easily merged into that video, that image? So again, there's so much power behind this. The one last thing that I want to make sure I go over, because it would be silly not to talk about that, but your audio mixer. You see here, I have an audio mixer. Now, if I close it, it's off to the side here. You can see my audio still going through. This is how I control my guest audio, my audio, everyone's audio on my stream. So maybe I'm bringing in videos that it has voice, it has audio, but I don't want the audio to be in there. So I can easily bring in the video and boom, not play it. Now, this list right here is my music. So I can easily play the music, and then you would literally hear the music right now. We're not going to do that because, again, we're approaching time here. But this is my audio. I don't want the audio to be on, because sometimes you might go into a video forgetting you forgot the audio, and then boom, it's playing. But if you automatically take it off, you don't have to worry about it unless you think you're going to need it. I don't need it, so I'll keep that off. But you can see my audio. You can see my virtual cables. You can see that if I wanted to, I see that this is in there. So, you at though? You can see I have 41 different things in here. So it literally keeps me busy. Look at, if I wanted some confetti, I can bring in some confetti and have fun with my audience. You know, that's one of the big things about keeping them engaged. You know, when it comes to branding, look at when my clients are up, they're seeing Canon Builders Dream Team all the time, right? Follow them on these different channels because they're on all 5 of those channels. And that's really the main things that I wanted to hit, because there's so many things. The settings here is important that I can easily dive into, but I do want to share. And when you want to bring in guests, another powerful feature here, and I'll wrap it up with this, is bringing in a video call. I can simply give this link to someone, they click on the link, and then boom, they're given permission to use their video and their camera, and I can literally bring them right into my stream by the touch of their phone. And as we know, these phones all have cameras, great cameras anymore, right? I'm starting to add, more phones to my production. So I have multiple cameras. That's what's powerful. Go back to 2 weeks ago when we had our video that Kevin taught on. You might have some cameras sitting around your room. You can bring that into the production. How much simpler can it be than that, right? So, my friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez, and I hope you got some value from this, because at the end of the day, as you can see, I'm not perfect. I'm not even great at this stuff, but I do enough to press live and learn from there. And after growing multiple channels and helping multiple people grow their channels, and knowing that this added that much more power for me and my clients, I mean, can't really put a price on that. And go to vmix.com, download the free 60-day trial. It's worth it. See if you got enough power in your arsenal to do it. Otherwise, this is more of like a upper level type streaming. There are other little softwares that you could pay monthly, whatever. but they don't bring that professional look. That is key. They'll help you do a few little different things, but vMix helps you go to the next level. You just have to dive in, learn, and then grow from there. My friends, that has been Manny Rodriguez on how to use vMix to look a little more professional in your streams. So, my friends, and as people who are in 3 different locations, we share how we connect, and vMix helps us connect even across that distance. And, Kevin, what do you think about vMix, especially as someone who uses vMix? If you don't mind sharing, how long have you been using vMix as well? Off to you, buddy.
Oh wow, I can't even remember how it's been so long because see, like I said, on last week's show, I started out with a MacBook Air. Was it in 2013? And then I moved over to PC shortly after that because my I was using Ecamm on a MacBook Air and it was overheating. So then I had to move over to a PC because it was strong enough and I didn't know what to use. And I had found vMix and started using it then. So I would probably say I'm coming up like 7, 8 years of using vMix, and it is
Wow.
an amazing, amazing tool. And
Wow.
you you touched on 2 of the 3 things that I was referring to at the beginning of the video here. You touched on the vMix Social. That is an amazing tool to be able to engage with your audience and hear and listen to them. And people, they love to see their names up on the screen in some of these streams. So for them to see their avatar of YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever platform that you're streaming to, have that pop up on the screen. It's like, hey, that's kind of cool. I want to do it again. I'm going to put another comment so that he will actually put me up again. So I'm so glad that you went over that to bring up that audience engagement. And you were almost disappointing me until the very end where you brought in vMix Call. That is another thing that really sold me on vMix, because it's all encompassing. You don't have to fiddle around with third party apps to bring calls in. It's like, okay, you send your client or whoever's going to be joining your stream a link, click, and they're streaming through their browser, and you're not even needing software on the far end. It's just a one click and they're into the show and as an input into vMix. And then boom, you can have it a side by side, or if you have 2 other guests like we have here, vMix Call is essentially what we're doing here with Dori and Ecamm with her version of it. So I love the fact that you're able to do that in vMix as well. And they also have some really fun stuff, like virtual sets they have. So you could bring your camera in and you could actually be sitting in behind a desk and it's already created for you. And they have such fun little things that you just need to, like Manny said, you can't really do an overview and go through everything. You just have to get it and try every single thing. But the one thing that you didn't touch on that I absolutely love are things called triggers. When you have multiple scenes or going from one scene to another, you can have what are called triggers, where if if A happens, then B happens. So you can have your introduction. Once the countdown timer gets down to 0, you can have it automatically switch over to your opening scene. And when your opening scene comes up, you could have your lower third automatically come across and then fade away. Like you could have it come in for 30 seconds and then have that fade out, sort of thing. So you're not sitting there pushing buttons and doing a lot of that. It's all done automatically for you because you set up those triggers beforehand. And when you set up your live stream, you sort of have I guess, sort of a template of something that you want to follow for your show. So you have your intro and then your main meat of your show and then your outro as well. So the intro and outro, you could all program that into like one button and have a whole bunch of different things happening so that you just that's something you don't have to worry about. It's like you're at the end of the show. It's like, I have to click the audio, the music, so I can fade out. Oh, I have to switch scenes to this, so I can say thank you to our supporters, that sort of thing. It's like, no, just press one button and it scrolls up or scrolls through all of your supporters, reminds you to like and subscribe and uh, hit that notification bell. Um, it's just so much that you can do with those triggers that I love about vMix as well. So those are some of the
Great
things that I
share.
really enjoy about vMix. And Dori, coming from an eCam world, I am betting you see a lot of similarities of what Manny went through to eCam, but there's also some nuances as well. So, is there anything that you picked up that was slightly different?
Yeah, so I did notice that there are a lot of similarities in the abilities of the two software, which is really amazing. So it really doesn't hinder people who are streaming either from a Mac or a PC. There's good solutions available for both. Um, Ecamm does allow streaming to multiple locations, but the way it's set up with Ecamm, I'm pretty certain it's the same way that you guys experience it in vMix. Manny, correct me if I'm wrong, but my multiple locations require a really robust internet connection because every connection I add in Ecamm pulls from my bandwidth versus Restream, which is what we use here for our production at C3, which sends one signal to Restream and then Restream does the distribution on their end, which doesn't bog our machine sound. Is that, Manny, what the same way it is set up in
Oh,
vMix?
yes, and
Okay.
which is one of the things I had to start doing was plug in directly to my internet because the Wi-Fi wasn't
Yeah.
giving me that much. Like I had to have better internet. Yes, very
Yeah.
well said there.
So,
But can I
the,
jump in, Dory,
yep.
as well? Another feature in vMix is if you do happen to have that large bandwidth, you can actually segment how much is actually going to each of those streams as well. You have that capability.
Mhm.
Like you could go 4K to YouTube and only 720p to
Yep.
Facebook. That
Yeah.
is an option that you can have, and you can change the speed, like from 5 or down to 2.5, depending on what speed you want to throw out. Because like 4K on YouTube to somebody on a watching you on a mobile phone doesn't make that much sense.
Yeah,
So there,
streaming in 4K these days doesn't really make any sense on the whole, but that's a topic for another show.
yeah.
So here a couple things that I love really quick, and then we do have some questions in the comments, Manny, I want to get to for you. Um, so the things I love about vMix are the built-ins, the options that you have for the lower thirds, the transitions that you had already available to you, and it just seemed like a very simplistic, like layer building situation when you want to develop your production scenes. I do have a question for you though, personally. Pricing options. So you said you started out on the free, and then you kind of gradually moved from one program to another program. So, can you share for everything that you were able to do with us tonight? What kind of pricing option tier are you in for something like that?
Great question. They have a different lifetime license. So when I first started, basically started with what they call basic HD, where I can have basic HD. It was only $60 license one time, but I was very limited on because I could only use 4 inputs. You saw how I had 30 something inputs. With the
Okay.
$60, I can only have 4, so I just used that to see, okay, how can I be creative and start? Literally less than 30 days, I upgraded to the HD version, which is $350. That's what I'm on. But for people who might even be a little higher than me, you guys talked about 4K. If someone did want a license at 4K, that's $700. And then the Pro, which is even, higher. And a lot of the difference is, so for example, on mine, I can have one caller. I could bring in one caller on there, and I can't even use like a PTZ control. Whereas the next two, the 4K and the Pro, you can use the PTZ control, which is very popular in the streaming world. But see, I can only have one caller on vMix, whereas the next one up is 4 callers, and then the Pro you can have 8 callers. Now, I
Wow.
also mentioned there's a subscription basis. They didn't have this subscription basis back, and I still think that just get the license if it can fit your budget. But you can get it for $50 a month. You can get the whole max. So basically, the $1,200 Pro, you can get all of those for just everything involved for $50 a month. Which includes 4K and up or whatever is above if there's another.
Okay.
So those are key things there. If you're into sports, then you're going to want the 4K or the Pro because you'll have multiple recordings at the same time, which is great for the instant replay.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Um, so Manny, I'm going to jump over into the questions for you now, unless there was something else you wanted to
Awesome.
add before we hit questions.
I did. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but
Okay.
when you have vMix open, and I kind of was showing at the bottom with the record and external and all that stuff. The vMix will let you know how much you're using of computer power. Like it'll let you know your total CPU usage. It'll let you know if you have too much. That's when I knew I was operating on too high. So it'll give you a total. And I knew that I was needing an upgrade when my total was like 70% or higher. I was really juicing up and
Wow.
everything was going slow when I was live streaming. Now when I upgraded, I'm more at like 18, 20% or under, even 14% of total power. If I had 3 live different platforms going, that would take up a lot of power. But I can go, it just might be a little spotty. It was like
Gotcha.
Kevin when he had so many cameras, then it started getting a little sluggish.
Gotcha.
But it lets them know. It probably let you know when you were really high up there in your percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
So we had a viewer with us who was making a lot of great comments, but did have a question for you, Manny, and it was regarding your background. Can you replace the background without the green screen?
Well, I only know how to do it with a screen because of the color key. Um, I mean, it's pretty easy to get green screen or like even, sheet. Your green sheet could be a green screen. I think the reason behind a green screen is because of number one, when you have a lot of light on it, that's where it makes it shine the most, where you can look like you're in an office, you can look like you're in the freaking mountains, and the green screen helps you be that much more creative. I know, like, if you're using Zoom, you could change the background there without a green screen, and that could be a camera input. Um, but that's it. Kevin, do you know it? Can you do it without a green screen?
Without using the actual color green, yes, you can. You just need a solid color in behind you. And then what you can use is the color key and just select that color and remove it. But the reason why you're using green is there's not much green in our like the pigmentation of our face, of our body, of most of the colors that we use um, in our lives. So that's why they chose green because it was different. But if you use like a black or something like that, that's going to be quite common with the colors of like our shirts and our items that we're wearing, like a hoodie or something. So if you use black, for me, this black, you would actually see the background coming through my clothes. So that's I think why they chose green was just to have a different color. So if you have something that's not similar to what you're wearing, or the color of your chair, for instance, you could put that in behind and use the color key to remove that color and use that as a green screen, as opposed the green screen as the term for that screen, as opposed to
Yeah,
the
that's
color.
that's just a concept. So you can, as long as it's a solid color, and if you're going to use a cloth like Manny suggested, you can go to a store like any kind of sewing fabric store, get like a pretty big sheet. You just pull it tight so the seams and the wrinkles are out of it. Put some light on it, and it'll work the same way. So the term green screen is just a concept more for like chroma key, like selecting out a color. Um, Now, I had written a question during the broadcast. Kevin went ahead and answered it in the comments, but I think it's worth just kind of throwing up on screen. The buttons that you showed as far as where you put like the ticker and you brought the image in, you programmed those locations, Manny, correct? For those four, the ticker across the bottom, bringing in your face, putting the ticker on the right side of the screen. Um, you're able
So
to set those.
you are able to set them how big, how small, how long it stays. You can adjust all of that as well. I had the default selected. So if that just tells you like it already has a lot of this in place for you. But through my learning and messing around, I did learn that, yeah, you can make that bigger, how long it stays up, how many milliseconds it stays up. You can definitely control how those tickers go and how long and things like that.
Excellent. That covers it for the questions. So, unless you two have anything to add, I think it's safe to say we are ready to roll into.
I'm
We're
good.
shaking our heads. All right, here we go.
Yeah,
If you enjoy content like this and are finding it useful, we would love it if you'd like and subscribe to our channel. Sharing our content is also a great way to spread the love. And as you can see on our site, on our image right now, visit our website for information on all ways you can connect with us at linktree/content creators connect. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
and definitely let us know if you have any ideas for shows that you want to see content on. So drop those down in the comments on any of those sites and let us know how we can help you on your live streaming journey.
And with that being said, we want to thank you for joining Content Creators Connect, aka C3, tonight as we took a look at using vMix to produce our live and recorded streams. We return next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where Kevin, this guy right up over here, will demonstrate OBS, a low cost cross platform production software as a very, very key option in your live streaming adventure. We will be multicasting live to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, so be sure to join us. Until then, we urge you to identify and lean into your 3Cs. Start today creating unique content that builds connections and breaks down those barriers. See you next week.
Bye.
See ya.